You know, we use the present tense every single day without even thinking about it. But what if I told you that this simple, everyday grammar has a secret superpower, a way of speaking that actually steps completely outside of time itself? So let's dive in and unravel this little mystery. Okay, so this might sound like a bit of a riddle, right? And it kind of is, but it gets right to the very heart of what we're exploring. Normally, we think of the present tense as being for, well, the present, for things happening right now. But as you're about to see, some of its most powerful uses have absolutely nothing to do with now at all. Ah, a classic. You've probably heard this one, especially if you're a Big Bang Theory fan. But listen closely to the verbs. Cuts, covers, crushes. Sheldon isn't describing a game that's happening in front of him. No way. He's laying down the eternal rules of the game. These are statements of universal, unchanging truth. And that right there, that's our first big clue. So this special use of the present tense, it actually has a name. It's called the Gnomic present. It might sound a little academic, but really just think of it as the grammar of timelessness. And trust me, once you learn how to spot it, you're going to start seeing it absolutely everywhere. So what does gnomic even mean? Well, it's all about expressing these big general truths. You know, the kind of ideas that aren't tied down to a specific moment in time. They were true yesterday, they're true today, and they'll be true tomorrow. It's the tense for things that just are. Let's look at how this works in practice, because it's all around us. You see it in classic proverbs, right? A rising tide lifts all boats. And you see it in basic scientific facts like the Earth rotates on its axis. In every single one of these, we're using the simple present, but not to describe something happening this second. We're stating a permanent condition, a kind of general law about how the world works. And that name itself, gnomic, it gives us another hint. It comes from an old Greek word that means judgment or proverb. So this tense is like literally built to deliver wisdom and make these big timeless observations. Now, right about now, you might be thinking, okay, that's a neat little quirk of English. But here's the thing. This whole idea of a timeless tense is not just an English thing. Oh no, it's an ancient idea and it's found all over the place. Let's take a quick trip back in time to see just how far back it really goes. Check this out. This quote is from a Roman playwright named Terence. We're talking more than 2,000 years ago. Flattery gains friends, truth, hatred. He's using the present tense in Latin to do the exact same thing we do in English. He's stating a timeless and kind of cynical truth about people. So yeah, this concept is definitely not new, it's ancient. And get this, the ancient Greeks, they took this idea and just ran with it. They were so comfortable with it that they could express a universal truth using the present, the future, or even a past tense called the aorist. Can you imagine saying something like, a fool learned his lesson, but meaning that fools always learn their lesson? That's how deeply this idea was baked into their language. This is so cool. This table shows how different languages all try to solve the same problem. It's like everyone needs a tool for this job, but they just build it a little differently. So in English, we just use the simple present. But Swahili, it has a whole special verb form just for timeless statements. And Japanese uses a little particle, wa, to signal, hey, this is a general truth I'm talking about. It really proves that the need to state these big universal ideas is, well, a universal truth about language itself. Kinda meta, right? Okay, so we've seen how the present tense can live outside of time, which is pretty amazing. But that's not its only superpower, not by a long shot. It turns out the simple present is actually more like a grammatical Swiss Army knife with all sorts of hidden tools. Seriously, beyond just stating timeless truths, the present tense can be a full-on time traveler. It can jump into the past and make it feel like it's happening right now, or it can leap into the future and make it feel completely certain. So how does it do that? Let's take a look. All right, look at this comparison. On the left, you've got your standard, everyday present tense, a simple statement of fact. But look at the right side. This is what we call the historical present. The story's about something that already happened, but listen to the verbs. The news is brought. They run. Why on earth would you do that? Well, it's a storytelling trick. It yanks you out of your seat and drops you right into the middle of the action. It's all about making history feel immediate and dramatic. And the list just keeps going. There's something called the conative present. That's when you describe an attempted action, something that didn't quite get finished. And then there's one we all use every single day, the present for future. Anytime you say, the train leaves at 6, or ask, are we meeting tomorrow? Boom, you're using the present tense to talk about the future. Okay, I know. This is all fascinating grammar, but so what? Why does any of this actually matter in the real world? Well, this is where it gets really important. This is where we see the genomic present not just as some dusty old rule, but as an incredibly powerful tool of persuasion. Just think about a news headline. Something like, "New policy reduces crime." Now, what is that actually saying? It's not saying the policy reduced crime last year in one city, and it's not saying it might reduce crime in the future. By using that simple present tense, reduces, it frames the statement as a general, established law, like it's a scientific fact. It sounds objective, authoritative, and really, really hard to argue with. And this quote just nails it. When you use the gnomic present, you are claiming the authority of general truth. You're not just offering an opinion, you're stating a fact of the universe. I mean, think about it. A rising tide lifts all boats sounds so much more powerful than, well, in some cases we observed, it seemed like a rising tide might have lifted some boats. That one little verb carries a ton of rhetorical weight. And here's the really clever part. Because these gnomic statements exist in this weird no place, no time zone, they are super hard to argue against with facts, right? If someone tells you a rolling stone gathers no moss, and you go find one specific mossy rock that rolled down a hill, you haven't really disproven the proverb, have you? The statement just slips away from your counterexample. It makes the claim incredibly difficult to pin down. So here's my challenge to you. The next time you're reading the news, or you hear a proverb, or you're listening to someone make a big argument, pay really close attention to the verbs. Ask yourself, are they talking about something specific that happened? Or are they making a subtle, powerful claim to a universal, timeless truth? You might just find that one of the smallest words in the language, a word like is actually one of the most powerful tools of persuasion out there.